What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the Michael Experience Podcast. I am your orator and originator, Michael, and these are my thoughts, my life, my way. So, last episode, we talked about puppy love or beginning love. I took you through my first relationship with my daughter's mom and kind of the lessons I learned through that journey, and just rounding out beginning teens, late teens, and walking into my 20s, and kind of a look back and look through at what I've learned up until this point. And so I mentioned in that story also a betrayal of sorts. And so I'm just going to take you through it. So I got into my first relationship with a guy at age, I want to say somewhere between 19 and 20, because I was trying to figure it out. So yeah, somewhere between there. I had this friend named Craig at the time. What's up, Craig? What's up, Smokey? No, I had this friend named Craig that really helped me understand kind of getting into the gay world, because again, like, I didn't have any foundations in it growing up. So what I had to learn was literally on the fly, by the seat of my pants, and not having any close friends to talk to about it or whatever. But I met this guy named Craig on a dating app, and when he and I started conversing, he really just talked to me about what he was going through and just like life and everyday stuff. So it wasn't on any type of sexual or any type of like being attracted kind of thing or whatever. We literally just talked about life a lot. And at the time, he was kind of in one of those relationships where it was hot and cold and they were going back and forth. So, and he was with a guy who wasn't out, and I believe he was DL, if I'm remembering the stories correctly. But I just remember Craig helping me tremendously throughout my journey, because I didn't really know any of this stuff, and then he, I think, was learning at the same time, because he had only been in a long-term relationship, a few years, with a guy that was DL. So I think in a lot of ways he was navigating a part of it, as well as me just trying to understand how to get into it. And so I remember Craig and I were just like talking, and I was like, Craig, I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't know how to meet anybody. Like, I really, I don't really know. These dating apps, they really not working and stuff like that. And so I remember him putting me on to this website called BGC Live, and that stands for Black Gay Chat. And so he put me on this thing or whatever, and then he was like, well, if you see anybody or whatever, I'll just show me their pictures or whatever, and I will do my best to kind of basically background check or give you some info check on them or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And so one day when we were hanging out, he kind of brought it up, and I was like, I just really haven't been thinking about it a whole lot. I don't know. And so he was like, well, pull it up. So I pulled it up, and we were just kind of going through pictures. And there was this picture of this guy. He had on a do-rag. Face looked like it was real chiseled out, looked like a real hard boy, like real hard boy. So I was like, okay, cool, he's kind of cute or whatever. And so I showed the picture to Craig, and Craig was like, wait, that's my friend. I was like, oh, that's your friend. Now, mind you, y'all, all I saw was a picture on his profile. It literally showed like top part that he had on, like a black shirt, I think, a black t-shirt. So all I saw was like basically top part right up under the neck, and then I saw up to his do-rag, and that was it. And he was sitting in the car, and I think he had on like some shades or something. And I was like, oh, this dude is kind of hot or whatever, like chocolate dude. I was like, he's kind of hot or whatever. Now, I don't remember on BGC seeing like the height and stuff like that. I don't remember that. But what I remember thinking was, I thought this dude was going to be like a tall, like kind of built like me kind of dude. I was like, he can probably be like my height or taller or whatever, and we'll probably be built the same. So in my head, I had made up this whole picture of who the guy was going to be. And so I was like, yeah, he's like, oh, that's my friend. He's like, let me hit him up and see if he wants to, exchange numbers or whatever. So he hit the dude up, told him I was on there or whatever, showed him my profile, and dude was like, yeah, I want his phone number or whatever. So he was away at college at the time, so he was a couple of hours away or whatever. So when he came back in town, we made plans to meet. So we meet at this, I swear, I think it was Steak and Shake. It was something like that. It had to be. I think it was like Steak and Shake. So I think initially it was just like we were gonna see if we gel with each other. Now for me, I didn't really have any experience dating yet. Like I had conversations with guys, but none of it ever led to like romance or me feeling like, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to go anywhere with them necessarily. But so this dude, he walks in or whatever. I look at him. Y'all, he's like 5'6", maybe 5'7". He's real short. He's very petite framed or whatever. And he has kind of like this rocker kind of vibe to him or whatever. I think he had like a scarf tied around his neck or something. He had on like some black kind of rusty looking jeans or whatever, and some I always called them like the Scooby shoes, the Converse or whatever. So he just kind of came in very skater boy, very rockish vibes looking. And I was like, so I made up in my mind this whole imagery of what this dude looked like, and he looked completely nothing like the situation or whatever. But I could tell it was him because his face structure was the same, but it just was like, dang, angles, lighting, come on now. So I was like, at first, I was like, I'm not finna like this dude at all. You know, he walked up in there, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna like it. And I'm gonna be very honest. I didn't like him because he appeared more feminine. And at the time, I wasn't there yet with exploring a lot of my I just wasn't there with my expression just yet. I was still wearing like the baggy pants, oversized t-shirts and stuff, rocking my low cut Caesar with the deep waves, giving my real like, I guess, pretty boy vibes, honestly. So I was really giving that. I had on my Air Forces probably. So I literally was still in that phase of my life, and I still didn't. I wasn't understanding like the feminine part of it or whatever. Like he wasn't like crazy feminine or nothing like that, but I could tell because he had that extra little on his voice, and it's like I don't know how to describe it, but there's like when they talk. And so I was like, oh well, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna like this dude at all. So as we're sitting at the table or whatever, like I think we ended up getting like shakes to start or whatever. But then once he started talking or whatever, and I started looking at him more, I was like, I actually kind of like this dude. Like it instantly, I was like, I actually kind of like this dude. So I kind of the imagery of what I thought he was gonna be quickly went away, and I just was paying attention to what he was talking to and how he was looking at me. Like he was just looking at me like dead in my eyes, looking me up and down and stuff like that, scanning my facial features. I was scanning his too. He had a nice set of lips on him and stuff like that. So I was like, and then he was petite. I was like, yeah, like I'm 6'1", he 5'7", something like that. I was like, you just, I don't know. So I was like, okay, cool or whatever. So me and him talked that night or whatever. I didn't think we were gonna talk after that, even though I let that part go. I was like, we probably not gonna talk again or whatever. Like we just probably not gonna talk again. So anyway, he ended up hitting me up like the next day. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So you really are feeling me. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of nice. But he's like, yeah, I want to see you before I go back to school or whatever. So I was like, okay. He came to my place and we kicked it. I remember like watching movies and stuff like that. He was laying on me and stuff. So we really just kicked it that particular night. He went back to school or whatever, and he was like, I usually come home every weekend or whatever, but I'd be with my friends sometimes or whatever, but I want you to meet my friends too. Now mind y'all, I'm like still very, very fresh in this. This is the first dude that I have met his friend group. This is the first dude I have met his mom, for real, for real. Like, this is like a whole new world for me. So I'm meeting all kinds of people, introduced to what ballroom. I never went to a ball, but he told me he was like in a house, like a ballroom house. So I was like, I didn't know what it meant back then. I was like, oh, okay, so like what is that or whatever. So like I didn't even know what voguing was back then. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I don't have no problem with it. So He comes into town or whatever. He's like, I really want to see you, but I'm at my best friend's house. Him and his best friend were inseparable. Like it was a group of them actually, a group of best friends, and they were always with each other. And that got on my nerves. I'm not gonna lie, it got on my nerves at first because I'm like, as a grown dude, like you can't be independent on your own. Now, mind you, I was a lone wolf kind of most of the time. Like I hung out with people and then I go right back to my situation. I never really I mean, growing up, I had some best friends I kicked it with like almost every day, but like I went home and you know what I mean? Like early on, but not as like no grown dude. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like irritated every time he came home, but like whatever. So, he's like, oh, come over to my friend's house or whatever. Now I'm nervous to be over there because I already don't like being in new places because my social anxiety is just too much. But I was like, okay, I'll come over there, a little bit or whatever. So when I first would come over there, I would just pull up in front of his best friend's house. I would just pull up in the house and in front of the house, and then I would sit in the car. And they thought for a long time that I was very funny acting because they was like, why won't he come in or whatever? I just was like, it wasn't that I was afraid necessarily, but it was just kind of like if I did walk in and see something I didn't like you're gonna know. I've always been one of those people like if I don't like something, you're gonna know it, and I don't want to be that dude in there just kind of looking at everybody like So I was like, I don't wanna come in there because I don't know what y'all got going on. Also, I don't know what y'all got going on and stuff. So after a couple of times or whatever of that. And then he's finally like, well, come pick me up and then I'll come to your place or whatever. Then he get back up in the morning and then he want to go back to his friend's house or whatever. So I was like, man, if I actually want to spend time with this dude, I'm going to have to actually hang out with his friends. So I was like, okay, here we go. So I remember them inviting me to a barbecue. I remember being invited to a barbecue. I came over, I came in. I kind of just sat in the corner of the couch. Like, what I mean? He introduced me to his best friend. I'm like, oh, I mean, all of his best friends. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Nice to meet y'all, whatever. Now, they looking at me like, this motherfucker is fine. Like, they looking at me like, this motherfucker is fine. I remember well, actually, I think 3 of them now that I think about it, but at the time, 2 of them was really just couldn't stop looking at me, and I was like, that is kinda weird or whatever." But, like, they would be looking at me, and then they kinda be snickering and stuff like that, so I was like, "That's weird," or whatever, and then, I ain't really paying no mind, I just like, "Okay, like, what's going on here?" or whatever, but, I mean, clearly, like, whatever. So I ain't paying it no mind. I'm just sitting in the corner chilling. There's all kinds of like people walking in. There's at one point there's like this really femme, I guess would be considered a femme queen, cuz I could tell that like he was she well she is a she now, but then he was just like a really pretty boy in my opinion, like had a very Chinese kind of like face and stuff like that. Eyes was real chinky, face was real round, and then she wore he at the time, but she now because she transitioned, but had on like this long hair or whatever, and I could tell by like the shirts that he wore that I was like, oh, like yeah, this is something different. And he had on nails and contacts and hoop earrings, so I was like, oh, okay. I okay, this is I mean that was new for me to see. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I was just like, I ain't gonna say nothing or whatever. But I'm not gonna lie, I was looking, I was like, oh, okay, like, okay. But I never said anything. I just sat in the corner. I was like, yo, I'm cool or whatever. And so everybody's like, oh, how come he not talking? Or like, who is that over there in the corner? And I would just sit over there like, I ain't paying nobody no mind. Now listen, y'all, back then phones wasn't hitting like they hitting now or whatever. So I couldn't just play in my phone for real like that. So I was just like, damn, like what like I gotta literally sit here and just, try to vibe out or whatever. So every now and again he would come sit on my lap and stuff and just kind of check on me, kiss me and stuff like that. First of all, to let the other people know that I was already taken, but then just like I think another part to just be like, you cool because you over here, you real quiet or whatever. So I was like, no, I'm good, I'm here, I'm supporting you, and when you get done, then we go back to my place and it's just what it is. So that's kind of like how our situation was. For that's how our situation was for a good little minute or whatever. And then like at some point his weekends began to be him coming to my house. He's like, yo, like I'm just gonna spend time with you or whatever, because I know you don't really like all of that. So I'm just gonna spend time with you. And, I was like, okay, cool. Not that I have anything against his friends again. It just was at the time I just really I just that's not really I'm not that's not my I'm over here stuttering. It's just not my it wasn't my cup of tea. So anyway, um, like we're spending time together. Like at this point, like a couple months has gone by, I'm getting really like caught up in this dude because we are sleeping together. I mean, in the adult way, we sleeping together. It's real passionate, like it's good. The body, the booty, everything is just good. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like I'm all in on this or whatever. And like I can't wait till I see him again so I can hit it some more. Like I just anyway, stay on topic, Mike. So I just started like really getting super, super involved with him. And it was in a way that I had never felt before at this time. So I talked about that puppy love situation. This connection was like stronger than even like when me and her were together. Like I felt myself like I was like we was just like yeah, we kind of was like in our own little world for real, like when we would be together. So I was like, okay, this is very, very different or whatever. Very, very different. So I just developed a very strong infatuation with him. Like love, I don't know, again, because I feel like I even now, I feel like the way I view love is a little bit different and the way that it happens for me is different. So I guess that's what I'm learning. What I have learned about myself is just that I do love and I do have the capacity to be in love. It just looks and feels different for me than what I've seen and have heard from everybody else. And that's okay. That's what I've learned. That's okay. So I had a deep, deep infatuation with him. I do believe that I loved him, right? He was my first for a lot of, situations. So I'm very grateful for that. And will always have love for that part. But like as we kept going on, I started finding myself going from like this happy infatuation kind of situation to being possessive, honestly. I started being very possessive over him. Like, I don't want you to be hanging out with your friends. You know what I mean? Like, you can hang out, but you can't be hanging out. Like, you stay out too late. I was mad. And then when he would go out of town and go to them balls and stuff like that, like I would really be like tripped out. I'm like, "Yeah, man, like why would you be doing that when you could be here with me?" So I was going through like a montage of feelings when I was dealing with this dude. Now, mind you, we were probably like 6 months in at this point or whatever. We are like 6 months in at this point, and I'm like, yo, like this dude got my head really wrapped up in him. I mean, it's just I'm doing all kinds of like I stuff I wouldn't do for nobody. So I'm like, okay, I'm too deep in it with this dude. So anyway, um I want to say October rolls around. Yeah, this is about right. October, November. Yeah, November. No, November rolls around, right? So we are 6 or so months into our situation or whatever. And November rolls around. So he comes to town to kick it with his family for Thanksgiving or whatever. Then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna come see you too. Whatever, whatever, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. No problem. However, for whatever reason, he was like, "Oh, I gotta." When he was supposed to come, he's like, "Oh, I gotta do something else or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, okay, okay, cool or whatever." So when he was supposed to come, he didn't end up coming. But then I ended up seeing him like I think later in the week because I think he had like a week off or something like that. So I he came later in the week, and so when he came over, like he was very very he is very, very like he usually is all over me, but he was like extra all over me at this point, like extra all over me at this point. So I'm thinking like, dude really missed me. I'm like, he really missed me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, sounds cool. Y'all, when I tell you we was laid there that night, something told me, like something just woke me up out of my sleep. And this always happens when I'm dealing with a dude. But something woke me up like in the middle of the night, really the middle of the morning. And like I woke up just kind of like in this like pause or this like dead stare. And so I was like, like, or whatever. You know, normally I'd be comfortable sleeping in the bed with him and we'd be cool or whatever. So as I'm just sitting there, I'm like, okay, let me just try to go back to sleep. Phone starts ringing on my headboard. I had a king size bed and I had like a wooden headboard that had like it had like it was like a big one and it had like mirrors on it. Like there was like a whole like shelf thing up top and then there was like mirrors underneath with lights under it or whatever. So like I literally had it, and then like the headboard basically was storage. There was like a pull up thing that you could put storage in or whatever. So yeah, I had a really nice king size bed set. So his phone, brr, 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 brr. So if any of y'all know, like the flip phones back in the day, like while the messages are coming, you can read them until the display come off. So even if they put a lock on their phone or whatever, so like when it brum 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 and you flip it open, you can read it real quick, and then if it's locked, you can't, you can't scroll and get the other because it's like it's when somebody send a sentence, it's literally like three or four texts. So as I flip the phone open, like some other dude is texting him and saying something like, I miss you. I enjoy Thanksgiving or whatever, whatever. He's like, I enjoyed you coming down for Thanksgiving or whatever. And so this dude is really like lighting his phone up, like lighting his phone up at that point. So I was like, oh, hell no. So I get up, I go in the bathroom or whatever, and I'm like, okay, what's his code to his phone? So I'm thinking of like, I'm like, do I know the code to his phone? Like, what have I seen him? You know what I mean? I'm like, let me figure out this code. Like, I don't even know how I figured it out, but I ended up figuring out the code, y'all. So I go through his phone. I promise you, I ain't never went through nobody's phone, never thought about going through nobody's phone, but I went through this dude's phone that day and I just went through message after message after message after message. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. So he had been dealing with some dude in Ohio as well. And when he told me he was originally supposed to come, for Thanksgiving, but it was all in the same week, he really had went down to dude's house first. So him and dude messed around, and then you brought your ass back here and laid up in the bed with me. And this is what I feel like was happening because I was like, this dude is extra like all over me right now. So you went mess with old dude, came back, that was some bunk or whatever. Maybe you felt a little bit guilty. Now you all up over me, like just real extra on me, and I'm just like, hmm. But now that I'm reading the text message, I figured this stuff out. So I'm like, oh wow. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh wow. Now I could have went through other text messages, but I didn't. I should have. I really should have, but I didn't. But I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of crazy. So I remember going in the kitchen, getting some cold water out of the thing, and I just threw the cold water on him while he was in the bed. I just flung it on him. I was mad. And I'm not saying that that's right, nor am I condoning anybody doing that kind of behavior or anything like that. But again, like I had fallen, no excuse. I had just got really involved with this dude. And then I'm like, you out here messing with somebody else. And it's the fact that you the only person that I don't know, y'all. It's just a whole thing or whatever. Like I said, very possessive in that moment, or yeah, with him or whatever. So he wakes up. I'm like, so who the is this dude or whatever? So he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, he keep texting your phone. I was like, and then I unlocked your phone. He's like, oh, you went through my phone? Yeah, I went through your phone. And now he like, so you shouldn't have went through my phone. You shouldn't have been through. I don't give about that. You over here messing with this dude. Like, what would you be? And then you gonna come lay up with me or whatever. And he's like, you calm down, like da 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 da. Da. So we didn't fight. We just were going at it or whatever. And I was just like, this is freaking crazy or whatever. He's like, I don't know what you saw or whatever, but I did not mess with him, da 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 da, whatever. I was like, yeah, okay, or whatever. Now I think that night he had his best friend pick him up and he left, which probably was the best thing for him to do because I was like feeling some type of way after that. So his best friend came and picked him up. He left or whatever. And so me or whatever, I actually took the dude phone number out the phone because I was like, shit, I'm gonna hit this motherfucker up and see what he talking about. I hit the dude up or whatever. Dude ended up hitting me back, doing some real like oh shit, like oh my bad, y'all, doing some really crazy, I mean, some very just unseemly things. You know, he's like cussing, he's like trying to cuss me out, stuff like that. So I ended up hanging up on the dude because I was like, oh, you getting real like that or whatever. But my only thing with him was I was like, you know, I had called him or whatever because I mean, texting was too much back then. So I called him. I'm like, hey, like, I was like, how do you know such and such? And he was like, who is this? I was like, I'm his dude. I was like, so I'm just trying to figure out like how y'all know each other and like you know how like how long y'all been messing around or whatever. So the dude is like, oh, you old boy or whatever, he told me about you, and you know what I'm saying, just saying all kinds of crazy stuff to me. I'm like, words, so you really, so you talk, so I'm at this point I'm like, he talking to me about talking, you know, about me to this dude. I was like, that is insane. So I was like, okay, cool, fun or whatever. So anyway, so dude is doing all that or whatever. I end up hanging up on the dude or whatever. He's texting me, telling me all kinds of stuff through the text message. I'm like, got it, got it. Now he's threatening to drive down here and whoop me. I was like, okay, dude, bring it. If you really want to, I'm from the show me say, you're gonna have to show me something. So anywho, so this is all going on after the dude, after, you know, my dude left. So I was like, oh wow. So I'm really pissed at this motherfucker. And he's like, can we talk? Like, I feel like we need to talk. Like, you violated my personal space. Yo, we can't even talk about violating your personal space until we talk about how you violated our situation, because that shit's just not cool. Like, it's just not cool. So anyway, we end up talking, I don't know, a couple of days or something like that. I don't know. We remember, we end up talking or whatever, and he's trying to explain to me or whatever. I'm like, yo, so he's still adamantly denying that he did not mess with the dude. He's like, no, I didn't go down there for him. He's lying. I went because there was like a ball or something like that. And he liked me and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool, y'all. Cool. I'm like, you know what? I don't have no choice but to trust him or whatever. But I did have him show me what dude looked like. I was like, what does dude look like? You know, I was like, because if he wanted, like he said he want to get active with me, like let's do it or whatever. So he shows me what the dude look like. I'm like, man, this motherfucking mud dinger. I mean, dude just looked mud fence ugly. I was like, I am not worried about this dude. And I, he was a short dude. I was like, yeah, no, So I was like, okay, cool. I don't know. That just made me feel better. I don't know why, y'all. I was young, so it made me feel better. So anyway, me and dude still kicking it, whatever. But like being with him, he's going out, he's doing stuff. Then at some point, I found out like he was talking to one of his exes. Like he was like trying to meet up with one of his exes, and I'm like, yo, like what is going on with you, dude? Like what is going on? So there was like this ex that he really liked, I guess, before. And I'm gonna tell you, I found this out through his friend. Like his friend told me this. Cause I was like, you know what? Don't go off. Cause I wanted to go off when I found out or whatever. But I was like, don't go off. But you know, just keep it cool or whatever. And so one of his friends ended up, because he lied. Here's another thing. He lied about when he was supposed to come see me and stuff like that. And he did the same thing he did with old boy. He went and saw this dude before he came to see me or whatever. So it's just bullshit with him. So anyway, he does that, comes and sees me after the fact or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And I don't know how I found out. I don't remember how I found out about this dude or whatever, but I think I heard him talking. I think he thought he was whispering in another room, but I heard him say the dude's name. So I was like, wait a minute, that's the old boy that he told me he dated. So I was like, oh wow. I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't really hear everything that he was saying or whatever. So I at that point I didn't really know what was happening, but like one of his friends actually hit me and was like, yo, such and such went to meet old boy or whatever, and I just thought I should tell you because I told him not to go and I told him that was messed up or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, he did. He's like, yeah, they was gonna go meet for breakfast and stuff like that. The dude had been texting him and asking him to go, and I told him not to go or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, bet. So now I done put it together. He went to go see the dude before he came to see me. I was like, okay, whatever. So I confront him about it, and he's like, he did text me or whatever. He did, we did meet up or whatever, but it was like a drive through thing or whatever. I'm like, but you in the car with this dude? Like, no. Like, I don't care if y'all acting like it wasn't a real date. To my, oh, we was just in the drive through at McDonald's. I don't care nothing about none of that. What you doing in the car with this dude that you was with? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing? So anyway, long story short, me and him just kept running into situations like that or whatever. We kept running into situations like that. So anyway, a situation happened where I completely blew up. Like, he had stuff at the house. I threw the stuff outside, whatever, whatever, whatever. We had that whole little moment or whatever. I never touched him, but like his stuff, I was like, get this shit up out of here, yo. Like, get it out of here. So that happened or whatever. And then so I felt bad after I did it, but then I was like, yo, I'm tired of you playing with me. So anyway, um, we kind of was like rocky after that, and then finally he broke up with me. So I was like, okay. Now, mind you, again, I'm infatuated. Now we at like 8 or 9 months into the situation with each other. So then we break up. So he breaks up with me or whatever because he's like, no, you just too aggressive. Da da da. I was like, okay, cool. Whatever. Now, mind y'all, my feelings are hurt. I can't eat. I can't sleep. Like, it was crazy. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about him. Like, I just was going crazy. You might be like, Mike, you was in love with him. I wasn't in love with him, but I was definitely like, I think being possessive over him is the thing that really got me because did I love him? Yeah, but it wasn't even driven by love. I literally felt like he was my property. I don't know, whatever it was that we were doing. I know what it was. It was that he was the first one, and I was trusting him in a lot of different ways or whatever, and stuff. And I just was like, yo, you just out here in the streets, like, no, you know what I mean? I'm new to this. And it just was like, you got me out here. So I really felt like, yo, you need to be, I don't know. It just was that kind of feeling. It felt possessive. I felt possessed, like I was possessive of him. So anyway, I'm like crying, I can't eat. I'm like, yo, whatever, whatever, whatever. So this goes on for maybe like 2 months. I want to say it was like 2 months. And so at some point I was like, yo, you got to get yourself together. Like you over starving yourself for this dude. Like for what? Like he ain't even all that. And he's probably a cheater. Like, and you starving yourself and you cried over this dude. Like what are you doing? So I was like, okay, get yourself together. Like, get yourself together, Mike. So, like I said, that went on for about 2 months or whatever. And so I ended up like where I think it's like close to the summertime now. So at this point or whatever, I've made another friend. And he and I hung out all the time. Like me and him, like every time I was in his city, we always hung out. We was always on the phone together, always. Like he was really into the gay scene too. So it just made, and we were similar. Like I'm 6'1", he's 6'1", maybe 6'2". We similar complexion. Like people used to mistake us. They were like, "Are y'all brothers?" Like, you know what I mean, or whatever. And so me and him literally operated as brothers for a long time. I mean, again, we were just two caramel complected dudes just out here getting it. Like you pick your flavor, which one of us you wanted or whatever. Like so it was always a dope vibe to have him around or whatever and for us to be as close as we were. So anyway, I'm at this pool party now because now I'm getting out in the streets. I'm like, let me get back out here or whatever, see what else is out here. So we out here, there's this pool party. So I'm not thinking this dude gonna be at the party. I haven't seen him in months, haven't heard from him in months. So I'm not thinking he's gonna be at the pool party. But I'm out there. I got on like some red basketball shorts. People looking at me like, dang, Zaddy, things, you hanging, Zaddy, yeah, or whatever. And I had some hair back then, some wavy hair back then. So, I just remember I took a dive in the pool, swam around a little bit, came back up, pulled my shorts up, not realizing my print, everything showing, and all of the people is like, oh man, he got a big piece. I'm like, I ain't even thinking nothing of it, but I'm like, oh shoot, dang. So I remember just like walking up the stair, kind of like Baywatch, and I was pushing my hair back because when you got hair like that, you gotta push it back. So I was pushing it back out of my way or whatever. And so when I opened my eyes and wiped my face and stuff like that, there he was like in the corner, just gawking, just like mouth open, eyes buck, like damn, like whatever. But everybody else in there is like, ooh, what's up too? So there was this other dude who was over there or whatever. So I go over there like, what's up, shorty? Like, what's up? And he like, nothing. You like, you single or whatever. I'm like, So I give him my phone number. I didn't even give him my phone number for me, for real. I just did it to piss my ex off. I was like, oh, I'm about to piss you off because you fucked me over. Now I feel like I owe you this. I owe you this or whatever. So anyway, I didn't really think nothing of it with him or whatever. I kind of moved on after we left that swimming situation, whatever. But I ended up seeing dude again at another function. At another function. So I'm like, yo, like I'm just gonna keep running into this dude or whatever. Now um, at this point he's feeling some type of way. So like now he wants to pull me to the side, pull me into a room, and he wants to give me some he ain't trying to give me no booty, but he's trying to give me some mouth, some throat, some neck. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So at first I'm like, man, whatever, whatever. Then he was like, you want me to or whatever. So I mean, we in the bathroom, he in there doing it, da 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 da. I was like, okay, cool. Y'all, this motherfucker literally, like after he did it, I was like, man, whatever. So yeah, it just that shit didn't even end well either. Like that shit just didn't end well. It didn't end well. Like, yeah, it just didn't end well. I'm gonna just leave it at that because I don't want to get too far into that story because it's really trifling actually. But anyway, long story short, because if I told the whole of it, like we would be here a little bit longer. But here's the thing. I'm gonna fast forward past some time or whatever, because me and him did have like dealings here and there, but we had well, I shouldn't even say it was like we just had a situation, right? So anyway, after like I stopped dealing with him though, like one of his friends was hitting me up and like not on no crazy type stuff, but just like being cool and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, cool, like it's fine. But then like all of the secrets just started falling out. Like I'll never forget, I don't know if that was like IHOP or something like that, but I'll never forget, this is the beginning of me really realizing how fucked up this dude was. So I was at this, the friend invited me. He's like, hey, if you not busy, come. A bunch of us are gonna be here eating or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I show up to the table, I sit down or whatever. Everybody telling stories, reminiscing, laughing, da 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 da. So I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Now there's somebody that I really enjoy, being around at the table. But she was like, "Oh, you remember when we went to Chicago and we went to that ball and baby in that hotel room? Oh, we had a time in that hotel room." So the friend that invited me is looking like, where is she gonna go with this story? Because now I'm sitting at the table. She don't know that me and dude was together at the time. Like she not putting it together or whatever. She ain't knowing that we was together at the time. She's like, yeah, you remember like all of us was in there and we was, we let old boy just really, soak us up or whatever. And she's like, yeah, we let old boy soak us up or whatever. She's like, but then such and such took him in the room and it was in there getting just done up and then was out there giving everybody else some, you know what I mean? And I was like, yo, so the dude I was fucking with was really a hoe the whole time. Like you not only watch this dude give head to everybody in the house, you know what I mean? And you didn't think nothing about it, but you let the dude take you in the room and do you after that. Like, yo, you just really don't care. Like, you really don't fucking care. But again, we were broken up when I heard about it, but the time frame that it happened when they were telling the story, I remember him going out of town for that. And I was like, this motherfucker just the shit just gets worse and worse. And so the more I was around this friend or whatever, and shit was just falling out, like just falling out. So now the friend feeling some type of way. He's like, "Yo, let me explain." Like I didn't let me explain. So I'm like, "Nah, you was keeping his secrets or whatever." But I guess it's cool because you like, I mean, who gonna tell on a friend or whatever? Like you know, like I'm a little bit different. If my friend was fucking off on somebody like that, and I knew my friend was just wilding, like I would be like, "Yo," like I'm not gonna hold you. Like if I told my friend not to do some shit and they kept on doing it, and I knew that the shit could really be, you know what I mean? Like I would be like, yo, like you doing too much, like chill. And if they didn't chill, I probably would. I'm not gonna lie. I probably would be like, yo, dude, I ain't finna tell you too much, but like you don't want it, you don't want to do it with this one. I love my friend, but you don't I would do it in some kind of a way where I'm not telling everything, but I would definitely be like, yo, yeah, you don't like I can't even let it go down like that. But I'm a different breed though. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But I also probably wouldn't hang around nobody like that. Like after because that's who you are. Anyway, moving on along. But like just I started finding out that he just was a hoe. Like dude was just a hoe and didn't mind gambling like with my safety or my health. Like just didn't care at all. I was like, yo, this dude is just really out here. And it was just really, really sad. You know, it was really, really sad. But um I'm glad that I learned that in a way because it was like I think I don't know at the point where me and this dude had something and then we tried and then whatever. I think if I didn't know all of the information and everything wasn't confirmed, there may have been a point where I would have been like, yeah, let's try this again, and I would have ended up who knows, right? Like I don't think it would have been a good situation, but it was definitely a good learning lesson for me or whatever. A lesson that I really would have liked to skip, but it was definitely a lesson for me in, you know, getting caught up into somebody, so caught up into somebody that you are, you know what I mean? You are neglecting yourself in a way. Like I said, I starved myself because I was like, dang, I done broke up with this dude or whatever. But like ignoring all of these signs and stuff like that for somebody that I should have known better was lying, but because that was like my first and really the only one I really got into the man I got into the mix with like that at the time, it just was a whole like experience. But the point of this is like the betrayal of it was just so great. Like, I mean, not great, like in like a good way, but it was just so massive. The betrayal, you know, finding out like the whole thing really wasn't even I don't know what he had going on or what, but I was like, yo, this kind of invalidated everything that I thought the dude stood for, everything that I thought, like, I don't know what I thought we were going to do with each other, but I definitely thought we were better than, you know, that or whatever, and all the lies and all the secrets and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought he would have did better by himself, but that ain't none of my business anymore. But it just caused me to look at him and be like, yo, I kind of feel sorry for you. Like, I really do really feel sorry for you because, like, there's no way that your self esteem or like your identity is that broken that you would just be running out here with like mud diggers. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but I think that's the first time I can say like my heart was broken, if that even applies to that situation. I remember going through it. My mom was like, son, you got stung. It happens to everybody, but you just move on. You got stung. And I'll never forget having that conversation with my mom, just like about, you know, breaking up with him and stuff. But it's crazy because like years later I saw him at the club and he was trying to flirt with me and he tried to take me home and then he was like, you know, you want to come here and get in the bed with me? And y'all, like, to be honest, like I didn't even look at him the same. Like when he asked, was like, "Can you take him home, please?" or whatever. I was like, "I'll take you home," because like I mean, I don't want nothing to happen to nobody. Like he was fucked up that night, so I was like, "I'll take him home." But I mean, I literally had to take him in his apartment, take him to his bedroom and stuff. So then when I got in there, he was like, "You know, you want to stay here with me. You know, you want to spend it." I was like, "Nah, I don't," or whatever. And I'm gonna tell y'all, if y'all remember Crown Royal, the Crown Royal got the purple bag with it. Like I remember, you know, I walked in, you know, he went in the bathroom or whatever to get, I guess to get himself together or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead on and go or whatever. He was like, no, wait until I come out or whatever. So like I'm standing there by the bathroom, which is by his bedroom. So I literally walk into his bedroom, y'all. And I look around and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. On his nightstand, I saw a purple Crown Royal bag. and I went and opened it. And when I opened it, it was lube and condoms in there. And I was like, wow, like you just ready for whatever. And at that point, I walked out. I just left his apartment. I was like, yeah, I already wasn't feeling you, and I'm definitely not repeating. Like, even if I thought about it for a second, I'm not repeating the mistake with you. Like, at that point, I just looked at him like, yeah, you trash. Like, honestly, like, you trash. Like, you ain't changed at all. You trash. So, I wanted to tell this story of betrayal, not necessarily to out anybody. That's why I didn't say any names or anything like that. But I really just wanted to take you on the journey with me of kind of getting really emotionally involved in somebody. I'm not going to say I was in love with him because I don't feel like that was it. I never was like, I didn't think he was my forever. I just thought that he was my first to bring me into like a male on male relationship for real. And he was just the first dude I got caught up in emotionally like that. I was like, oh my God, or whatever. And again, the lesson in it for me was I don't want to ever feel that way about nobody else. I don't want to ever feel like I have to go through your phone. I also don't want to feel like I can't exist without wondering what you're doing. And I also don't want to have to, like, when you're away from me, question everything about you. I was like, I never want to feel that way again. I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm throwing somebody's clothes out the house. I don't want to be arguing with nobody over cheating. I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. And I've not had to do that ever again. I'm not going through nobody's phone. At least none of my boyfriends anyway. I mean, nah, I ain't go through nobody's phone for real, for real. I mean, nah, I ain't go through their phone for real like that. But I was like, I don't want to do this again with nobody. And I haven't. Even to this day, I still have not done that with nobody. Now I've gotten somewhat involved emotionally with some people, but not to that level again. And even though I've been in a longer relationship, like my last relationship was about 5.5 years, I did get involved with him in a lot of ways that I didn't get involved with other people, but it felt very, very different. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. Because the type of love that I shared with him was like, it was very enormous. It was very, very it was a different kind of love, and I'll explain that in the next episode because it deserves a story in my life, because it changed a lot about the way that I understood myself, my capacity to love and be loved. So it challenged me in so many ways. I believe that is the relationship that grew me the most, like just as a person. So I have to talk about that one. But to round out this particular episode, yeah, like I've faced the biggest and the worst betrayal with the first man that I ever been with in that way. And it sucked because it just was my introduction, and it was just all the way 360 horrible. It was just horrible, you know what I mean? And I didn't know how bad it was until like I walked away from it, which it was even more. So, you know what I'm saying? So that was the situation with him or whatever. But if I could just leave you with something about that, is that sometimes you're going to enter into relationships, and maybe it does feel good, and maybe you do get caught up in the whirlwind of newness and the excitement in it. I've never had this before. But be very careful when you meet a type of person or type of energy that you hadn't experienced and you've opened yourself up to it. Be careful, because my mistake was becoming so dependent on him being the one that I trusted him too much. I gave him too much of my energy either way, too many chances to come back and do the same thing just because like this feeling was new and I wanted to continue to explore it, and I had put literally all of my stock in that person. Like, you're the one. You're my keeper of my heart and stuff like that, because you were the one to bring me into the situation, kind of. So just be careful when you do that and you make somebody like your sole source of of just everything, right? Just be very careful with that and make sure it's not taking you out of character to where you're checking their phone again, like I said, having to wonder where they are, talking yourself out of the lies and stuff because you can't physically prove it, like just make sure that it doesn't take you down that pathway. And if it's already taking you there, my hope is that it doesn't take you back. Like for me, I was like, I'm never doing this again with somebody else. And what that means is I have to come to the table very clear on who I am and very clear on my boundaries. And when I see something that violates those boundaries, that I cut it off immediately. And I don't need proof. I think that's the thing that trips people up sometimes is like, oh, I need proof. Like, what other proof do you need? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're probably, I don't know. Most people are not going to catch them in the act, like walk in the house and they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Most people, some people will be that lucky. Well, I mean, that's not even lucky, but you know what I'm saying? But some people will experience that. But for the most of us, it'll be a phone call that sounded a little stranger than any other phone call. It'll be some random text that don't make sense. Oh my God, that wasn't for me. It was the wrong phone number. Oh, they wasn't talking about that. Oh, it was just a joke. For most of us, it will be something that is a little bit more covert in nature, and we kind of have to crack the Da Vinci Code to figure it out. But when you experience whatever that is, and it makes you think sideways, it's time to go. It is time to go. When that person also doesn't offer you any clarity or give you the peace of mind in that space, that is very telling too. So those are two really good reasons to just walk away. Like I don't need any more explanation. I don't need nothing because you're not about to come in here and cause confusion. And if you really were trying to be in it and you really were trying to be in some type of love, romance, whatever with me, you wouldn't even allow this stuff to make it to me. You wouldn't even allow it. So that is what I learned from that relationship. But yeah, that was my biggest and worst betrayal in love and relationship to this day. So hopefully you learned something from that, if nothing more than just a cautionary tale of what could happen, and maybe something to make you turn the other way, or if you're reaching a road with some stop signs, that you stop and turn the other way. So hopefully you got something out of it. But y'all go on and love yourself before you can love someone else. And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace and love. Bye.